Don't get me wrong, I do love a classic scone just with some jam and some cream, but I also love savoury scones, and that's what I'll be making. Cheddar and spring onion scones, a fantastic afternoon tea. Now I've just got 6 to 7 spring onions here and I'm just cutting them into rounds. So cutting these up, I add the green part also. There's no point wasting it because after it cooks down it also becomes quite sweet. Now I'll turn the heat on. We want this at a medium heat and I'll add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So a good glug of that in there. And because they've been chopped quite well, they don't need too long to cook. They're also much more delicate than onions. And I'll add 1 clove of garlic. And I like to add it after the spring onions so it doesn't burn. So give the spring onions a bit of a head start and then in with our garlic after that. Now we'll just give that a quick mix. A generous pinch of salt, some freshly cracked pepper. Now for some herbs, 2 varieties of herbs, a hard herb, so some thyme. This also works nicely with rosemary, and I'll just take all the leaves off the stalk. That's the easiest way to do it, is just to pull them off like so. And this is cooked now, so we'll turn it off, and I'm going to chop in some parsley. So we'll take the stalks off and scrunch up the parsley, and then roughly chop it. Beautiful. Now this can go in and we just want to allow this to cool down to room temperature. You don't want to be adding this to the flour and butter mixture while it's hot because it will affect the result of our scones later on. So just allow that to cool down. Right, that is done. I'm going to take it out of the pan so it cools down much faster. So we want everything to be around the same temperature. Apart from the butter, because when it comes to scones, you do want the butter to be cold so it crumbles together. So let's get onto that now. I'll need 3 1/4 cups of self-raising flour, which is ideal for making scones. It's going to give it a lovely crumb, and because it's self-raising flour, it does have rising agents in it. It's going to give it a nice lift. So into a bowl. With our cold butter, as I was saying, it needs to be cold because we need to crumble it up. So break it up and then using our fingertips, because that's the coolest part of our hands, we just want to break it into the flour. So just squishing it together. So this will take about 3 to 5 minutes and then we can continue on. Okay, well you can see that we've got a fine crumb now, so let's add some liquid to this. 1 cup of buttermilk. Now the buttermilk is crucial for this, it just tastes so much better. And then I'm going to add our spring onion mixture into the centre with the milk, along with the cheddar. Now freshly grate your cheddar, it tastes so much better than the pre-grated cheddar. Get a mature cheddar for this, and I'll add 3/4 of this and I'll reserve some of it for the garnish later on. Now my Auntie Iris always tells me when it comes to scones, any scones, sweet or savoury, make sure you mix and fold it together with a butter knife. By doing this, we're not overworking the mixture because there's nothing worse than over mixing a scone mixture. So give that a mix. You can see it's coming together. Wonderful, that's enough mixing with the knife. And then with some extra flour, I'm just going to dust the surface of my board, a little extra so it doesn't stick to the board. And then using your hands now, we'll take the mixture out of the bowl and pop it on there. Now you could use a rolling pin to roll this out, but to be honest, you can just do it with your hand, and the less fiddling with the mixture, the better it is. You want this to be about 3.5 centimetres thick. Then I'll grab a cookie cutter. This is 6.5 centimetres, and I'm going to cut out our little scones. And that is our first very cute scone. So I've got a tray here that I've lined with some baking paper. I'm just going to place that on to our tray. And to make sure that we get a nice colour on the top of the scone, just 1 egg into a bowl. Just crack that in. Go. Give that a quick whisk. And we can start brushing the scone with a light amount of the egg wash just on the top and around the sides. And then we just need to crown this with some extra cheddar. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to continue on with these, and then they go into a hot oven, 180 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes. When you're placing your scones on the tray, make sure that they just slightly touch. That means that when they're cooked, we can just pull them apart. And then I'm just brushing them finally, some more cheese, and then into the oven. How good do these scones look? They smell fantastic too. And my favourite part when I bring scones out of the oven after they've cooled a little is pulling them apart. Look at that. Perfectly soft. And when they're still warm, they're the best because when you break into them, you can see the melted cheese and all the speckles of that lovely spring onion that we added. To serve these, you could add some prosciutto if you like, make it like a sandwich. That's very decadent. Or just keep it super simple. Just a hint of butter on each side of the scone. And then nothing else needs to be said apart from enjoy.